Please open your game loop and base version 1 file. Next, save your game loop file as base version 2. Please close any files that you don't need and split your base version 1 to the right-hand side. In base version 1, please copy the yes/no instructions in integer checker function and paste them at the top of base version 2. Collapse your functions and then scroll down. In our base version 1, we display instructions if the user wants us to, and we get the game goal using our integer checker. Please copy that code, and then in version 2, remove the game goal code that you have and paste in the code from version 1. Please check that everything from base version 1 has been integrated into base version 2. Then run your code and test that it works correctly. One thing that is missing is a heading at the start of our program. We can use our statement generator to put that heading in and then check that it worked. In my documentation, I've popped in a planning update, and our next step is to create our game history. As usual, we need a test plan before we create a component. If this was an assessment, you'd use a similar plan to decide exactly how you want your game history to be displayed to the user. In PyCharm, please create a new file called Component7 Game History. I've set up part of the component. Note that we need to begin by initializing an empty list to hold our history. I've been super careful with the variable names, making sure that they match the base component. For this component, we're simply going to ask the user to type in the data from our test plan. And to make our testing easy, you're going to put in a while true loop that breaks if the user pushes enter for the round number, and this allows the user to put in the user points and the round number. My next step is to add a statement to my rounds history. The easiest way to do that is to go into your planning and copy what your output's supposed to look like. Then we can go back into our program, make a variable called GameResults, and paste in the output that we want. We can then systematically replace the hard-coded values with what our user either types in for testing purposes or is generated by the program. So the rounds is going to be rounds played. The user points is going to be our user points. In PyCharm, when I push enter, it automatically generates the characters that I need, and I can continue to populate my computer points. For our statement, we also need to say who won and update the scores. If we look back into our base component, we have a variable called winner that tells us who won. This means that in our game history component, we can ask the user to enter who the winner is using that same variable name, and we can update the game results statement. We can also grab our user and computer score, and for testing purposes, we can ask the user to put the user and computer score, and we can update the game results statement. Our next step is to add the game results to game history. To do this, go gamehistory.append game results. This will add the game results into the game history list. Then outside the loop, we can pop in a heading, and we can then iterate through our game history list by going for item in game history, print the item. We can then run our program following the test plan exactly, and our output should match the expected values. In the next video, we're going to integrate our game history into our base component.